And joining us now, Doug Heye, former communications director for the Republican National Committee, and former Democratic Congressman from New York, Steve Israel. Welcome both. Excuse me. So, Doug, how big a political miscalculation was this by Trump to select someone as controversial as Matt Gaetz right out of the block for EG?
Well, let me first say, Andrea, I'm a big Steve Israel fan. I wish we had more Steve Israels in Congress, especially in the Democratic caucus. He was a great member of Congress. I wish he were still there. I don't think this was a miscalculation. This was very intentional. Donald Trump knew that Matt Gaetz was not going to be confirmed by Senate Republicans. He would lose enough of them that there was no chance of this going through. So this was sort of a guided missile of Donald Trump.
Did he know before he named him?
Oh, absolutely. There were enough Republicans. Keep in mind, Matt Gaetz was a House member, and there were a lot of Senate Republicans who served with Matt Gaetz in the House. And what happens then?
And he talked about them, and they despised him.
And so if you were Mark Wayne Mullen or another House member who served with Gaetz, you're telling your colleagues, let me tell you about this guy. You just know the headlines that are bad. I can tell you the real stories. So this nomination was going to go nowhere. What it did, because it was the first of these sort of nominations, was it sent a very clear message to Senate Republicans and to the country at large. This is the direction I'm going.
And so it was symbolic in a way.
Absolutely. And what it did was it forced a lot of the conversation away from Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. Now they're at the front of the line, and we have 2 months to go. This is going to be a long confirmation process, more than 2 months, obviously, once Trump gets in. But this was intentional, not a miscalculation at all. It was strategic. Maybe bad strategy, but strategic.
Steve Israel. So as we were just talking about with Vaughn, several of these other potential nominees, these choices, are facing a range of serious allegations that could trip up the confirmation. Here's what Republican North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer had to say about Pete Hegseth's chances.
So the sexual assault report, its allegation, does that give you any pause with Pete Hegseth?
So, yeah, it becomes a problem. Again, this is why you have background checks. This is why you have hearings. This is why you have go through the scrutiny. I'm not going to prejudge them, but yeah, it's a pretty concerning accusation.
So you can see his reputation precedes him.
Yeah, first of all, let me thank Doug for his kind words. I know he wishes I was back in Congress. My family is quite happy that I'm not. So
and you're writing novels and having so much fun.
I think he's onto something, actually. I think that this was a rather clever, almost diabolical strategy by Donald Trump. We have been so focused on Matt Gaetz that we have lost focus on several nominations that are just as concerning, if not more so. The one that concerns me the most is my former colleague in the House, Tulsi Gabbard. She is nominated to be the Director of National Intelligence. As Doug knows, as you know, Andrea, that oversees about 20 of our intel agencies. That's the one position in the federal government that requires absolute objectivity, sterile analysis, no political agenda. You have to meet with the president on most mornings and tell the president not what you think he wants to hear, but what you believe is a series of credible threats based on the streaming intelligence coming in. Now, Tulsi is entitled to her opinions on things like Putin, who she has coddled, on Iran, on China, on other threats. But I am very concerned that she is going to allow those rather extreme and unorthodox views permeate the intel stream that she's sharing with the president, tell him what she thinks he wants to hear. And that's going to weaken our allies. It's going to embolden our adversaries and make our national security position at a greater risk.
I'm hearing that a lot from national security officials as well, Republican national security officials. One concern really about her having this role with her lack of experience and her previous positions, controversial positions, Putin, the secret visit to Syria, Bashar al-Assad, is there's less oversight. The intelligence committees have the oversight, but it's all classified. There's less transparency, public transparency about the goings-on. And the public, unlike a lot of things that happen at the Pentagon, won't know when she's made a decision, when she's, altered an assessment and edited the presidential daily brief and what she says in the Oval Office. There's no way that will be known to the public. Steve?
Yeah, may I say that that oversight is confined to what's called the Gang of Eight. It's the
Right.
leaders of the majority and minority leaders of the House, the Senate, and the Intel committees. That's the entirety of real oversight at that level of classification. And so the decisions she makes, the information that she provides, won't be shared, not only with the public, but with most members of Congress.